You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
Yep.
They don't care.
Put a fork in them. They're done. They're gonna lose every game they have the rest of this year.
I love that phrase. Put a fork in them. I love that phrase.
I can actually give you guys a history lesson to let you know where that phrase originated from.
What if we just did a podcast lesson where we recorded a podcast?
So, King Henry VIII had a kid, and so what's our talking points tonight?
Check New York Bozo! New York Bozo! New York Bozo!
I got to get my biceps a little bigger.
Yeah, you can always work on that.
Well, I could sure use a hot dog with chili.
You know what time the game starts? Hey, you got any left-handed footballs? We need to fire him. Is anybody else tired, or is it just me? Good thing I'm in shape. You got any eligibility left? I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
Good evening, Packer Nation. Welcome back to another edition of Pack to the Future podcast. We are celebrating a Packers victory. The Pack looked really, 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 really good. And there's no complaints on this side of the mic. And Brian, are there any complaints on your side of the mic tonight?
None whatsoever. We won for the first time in a freaking month. We looked good doing it. I got no complaints. I'm a happy, happy man.
It's depressing to think the Packers didn't win a game for a month, but I think this win against the Eagles kind of like made us all forget that it was a whole month of winless Packers football. So,
and it puts us back in the conversation of the Packers winning the next 4 Super Bowls. So
it really does.
A good game.
It really does. Even with Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson and Dom Capers. I mean,
now we're just getting ridiculous.
Okay, that is a little ridiculous. Thank you for calling me out, Brian. And
what I was born to do.
Absolutely, it is. And Dusty, how are you doing tonight, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm excited. Talking about a Packers win with you fellows. It was not only a Packers win, but like a really fun win. Like the offense looked good out the gate, looked great the entire time. It was just a fun game to watch. So I'm excited to be talking about a win finally for a while.
I know. Last week I was singing Dusty's praises all episode, and this just goes to show that this guy is dedicated to bringing you top of the line Packers podcasting coverage, and even on the Twitter land. I mean, the eye in the sky. And you know what? Unlike other people on our podcast that have a sniffly nose and don't want to do it, Dusty shows up. Like I can hear it in his voice that he probably has like 118 fever, but he's still gonna bring the truth to you. So
I'm legally dead. I am actually legally dead, and I'm still here with you fellas.
To be fair to Jordan, it was not a sniffly nose last week. He had a tum-tum ache.
Yeah, that's
well. Speaking of Mr. Sniffles tum-tum, Jordan, how are you tonight?
Jordan, or I should say, John, you went for the subtle Aaron Rodgers, reference in the press conference to say I really don't like what's happening right now. It's like I don't hate Mike McCarthy, but I mean I really hate all of these players. It was good. That was well done on your part.
Thank you. And the best way to get on my good side is to be sarcastic towards me, and it really works well for you. And just to let you know, the coin toss segment is coming up, and I keep track of these things, Jordan.
So I'm going 0 for 2 tonight, is what you're saying.
Just like every other night.
Just like every other night. Well, guys, let's just get into the coin toss segment. And the first one we got going tonight is going to be Dusty versus Jordan. Mm-hmm. And the Packers had great success against the Eagles with the short pass game, and they were quite deadly with it. And I want to know if the short game is sustainable going throughout the remainder of the schedule that we have. So if I flip the coin in its heads, Dusty, you are going to tell me that this short passing game is going to be sustainable for the rest of this year. Coin is in the air. And it is heads. Dusty, it's going to be sustainable this year.
Yeah, I mean, they looked really good. This is what I've been calling for them for a while. They don't have a whole lot of guys that can beat you with speed down the field. Nelson's straight line speed isn't back. Devontae Adams is not a burner. They got Trevor Davis, who is, and Jeff Janis, who is, but those guys aren't seeing the field. They've got Cook, who can run, but until recently, he was out, and so you had Richard Rodgers. You've got Randall Cobb, who's good in short bursts, can't really burn you down the field too much. So they've got this collection of guys who can beat you in short spaces. And I was talking about this, I can't remember if it was here or something I wrote just even a couple weeks ago, that was just, if they can stretch the field, instead of establishing the run game, they create the short passing game as their run game. You're stretching the field horizontally. And then from there, you can take shots vertically. And so if you get those safeties up, it doesn't matter if you can get those safeties up by the run game or by the short passing game. The goal is you're compressing the field. If you can hit that stuff, and they were hitting that against the Eagles. The Eagles had the top rank by DVOA, top ranked pass defense coming into this game. And they were hitting, just wide receiver screens, just quick passes out of Rodgers' hand that were picking up 7 yards a pop. And it was as good as I'd seen them look for a while. And if you can do that, if you can force the defense to compress the defense, kind of play closer to the line of scrimmage, those shots downfield will be there. And we saw that against the Eagles. Rodgers completed 50% of his passes deep downfield. The Eagles had been giving up like 36%, and Rodgers had been about 33% for the year for deep. So they've shown, I don't know why it took McCarthy so long to get there, but they finally got there. They got that quick hitting, short passing game, and I think it's sustainable just because Rodgers does seem like he's on it. His accuracy seems like he's there deep. And so if you can pull those safeties up, run game, short passing game, doesn't matter. You've got those shots deep, and if you can hit them deep, you force them to go back, and then you can just keep doing that short passing game. So it's a little give and take. You got to hit everything. And right now, what we saw out of them on this past Monday, I think they can do it. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to, given the personnel they have. They should have been doing that for a very, very long time now.
Jordan, begin your opposition.
My concern going forward, you got the Texans this week, Seahawks coming up the week after that. We still have Minnesota on the schedule. I feel like those teams are going to watch the film from this last game, and they're going to notice that, Philly, we went to the short passing game, but the Eagles certainly accommodated us in that regard. They definitely made it easier for Rodgers to get rid of the ball quickly. They were getting guys on a pass rush, and Rodgers was getting rid of the ball. But they were playing off of guys like Jordy a lot. They were getting the passes out quick to Adams. I think of the slant on the touchdown. Nice plays. I thought the receiving corps had a great game last night. I'm not going to discount that, but my concern moving forward is that defenses are going to adjust. They're going to play up on us like a lot of their defenses have done in the past. And if the short game is going to be sustainable and really a focal point of this offense, I think what's going to happen is they're going to have to hit a couple, passes 20 yards down the field early on in the game to get this offense moving. Because what we see in the run game is virtually non-existent. I mean, with Starks running the ball, he's just not a threat running the ball out of the backfield. So, if the Packers are able to hit a couple plays down the field, then the short game will be more effective. But I think teams are going to adjust. I think it's going to be a lot tougher for us going forward for the rest of the season.
And by virtue of a fake cough that Jordan did in the middle of his opposition, Dusty takes round one.
You are going on for two, Jordan, apparently. So,
yeah, probably.
I just have to keep finding ways to have Jordan lose, and that so far has been one of my favorite things to do on the podcast so far. It
may have just been that I made a really good case and I won. John, did you ever think about that?
John never gives us credit like that.
No, that's not how it works.
No, never say never. Because I have acknowledged you guys' intellectual skills many a time. All right.
If it was all down to intellectual skills, I would never lose a coin toss.
That is incorrect.
All
That
right,
is-
Brian.
That is false.
And Brian has already lost this next one, but Brian, get involved. Wait, actually,
No,
he's playing.
I'm good.
Actually,
I can say whatever I want
against
because
Jordan.
I'm going up against Jordan next.
He is going up against Jordan, so there's a chance.
Might as
There
well
is a
not even do
chance.
this one.
We just had the Packers commander-in-chief, Aaron Rodgers, come out and say before last week's game that he thinks that the Packers can run the table. And obviously they got a win after he said that, and things look like they're going in the right direction. But my question to you two is this. Can the Packers lose one more game? And Brian, if I flip the coin and it is heads, you will tell me that the Packers cannot afford to lose another game. In the air, and it is heads. The Packers cannot afford to lose another game this year.
They just can't. I mean, even if they win all 5 of these remaining games, that's no guarantee of the playoffs. They could conceivably go 10-6 and miss them. They're sitting in 10th right now. They are, I mean, I don't even know how to calculate it because the Redskins are in 6th place at 6-4-1. So is that what, a game and a half? I don't even understand it. But best route to get there is going through the division, and the Lions do have a tough schedule remaining, so there's hope there. But I mean, even so, we're still behind the Vikings. I mean, we have to play at the Lions. I just don't know, man. We have a lot of ground to cover. More importantly, we have a lot of teams that we need to leapfrog. And again, winning all 5 of our remaining games does not guarantee us a playoff spot because we have that many teams to leapfrog. So, no, I don't think we can afford a loss in any way, shape, or form. It was a great performance last night, but I still don't see this as a playoff team.
Jordan?
Okay, so this is what needs to happen. We're through each of the teams, Lions, Vikings, and Packers are through 11 games. This is what needs to happen in order for the Packers to get there. And this is including losing a game. So if the Packers lose one game, we finish 9-7. Now I will say the one game that we lose cannot be a divisional game. So which pretty much just limits it to the Seattle game, which is going to be a very tough game for us. But if we go 4-1, let's just say we go 4-1, we lose to Seattle. This is what we need of the other teams. We need Detroit to go 2-3, which they play the Saints this week. Not an easy game. They have the Bears. They have at New York Giants, at Cowboys, and then home against us. Very feasible for the Lions to lose 3 of those games. And then you go to the Vikings. And the Vikings, all we need for them to do is go 3-2. They play the Cowboys this Thursday. Another very losable game. And if they lose to us, that's 3-2. We have the tiebreaker over the Lions because we will have won both of those games against them. And we will have the tiebreaker over Minnesota because we have a better division record than them. So it's really, I mean, you're talking, obviously the better option, of course, is for us to run the table, obviously. And none of this is a guarantee we're making the playoffs, but it's a very feasible chance that we can still make the playoffs and win the division by going 4-1.
Jordan, I can't believe I am going to do this. You have beat Brian.
Oh, it's because Brian was bad at math. It's because he couldn't do math. I was waiting for it. I knew that's what it was.
That is John's one criteria.
I mean, I got straight A's in math, and I know.
I don't think that's true, probably.
No, it's definitely not true at all.
I can verify. John and I only passed math a couple years in high school because we cheated off of Jordan. So
wait, what?
Mr. Gallard? Mr. Gallard listens to this podcast. Mr. Gallard, I am sorry. I don't know what Brian's talking about. It was never the case. And but no, Brian. I mean. You know, math is so huge, and Jordan, you made some really, really, really nice points, and I am of the same boat. So, congratulations, Jordan. Don't Don't expect this kind of treatment too often.
That's all. I'll savor it. I will savor it.
Thank you. And our last question that we got is it's going to be Brian and Dusty, and that is, I mean, our defense kind of looked, pretty okay, pretty good. Maybe I don't even know. You guys are the ones that actually know things, so I'll let you guys just talk about it. Can we look forward to seeing a better Packers defense going forward this year? So if I flip the coin and it is tails, Brian, you are going to tell me that this is just a one-game deal and the Packers defense is going to have some struggles. So, and it is heads. Brian, the Packers defense is back.
All right, I get to be positive for this one. Sweet. All right, I don't know if I'm ready to go so far as they're back, but they're getting a bit healthier. And this is just a better defense when Clay Matthews is in the middle. His numbers, 4 sacks on the year, came into this game with 16 tackles in 6 games. Just not good. He's just moving back outside where we all thought he was going to bring that elite pass rush again. It just hasn't been the case, and he is a better defense when he's inside. So hopefully he stays at least in the rotation as Martinez and Ryan get healthy. But that's kind of what it's all contingent on, isn't it? It's getting healthy. The secondary got a little bit healthier last night, getting Demarius Randall back, and they looked a little bit better. And one reason that I think they're going to be a bit better, well, here, I'll give 2 real quick. One, because they really can't be much worse than they were over that 4-game stretch. That was just disgusting. There's no better word. 2, because if this offense is going to start actually extending some drives, converting on third down, scoring some points, that keeps this defense off the field. And you can't put up 40 points on a team if your offense isn't getting on the field. So I think the combination of injuries, starting to heal up and just the offense picking things up, I think the defense is going to be better from here on out.
All right. And Dusty, your rebuttal to what was just said?
No. I could see them, the end.
That's all.
Dusty wins.
He's like, no.
Wrong.
I could see them, like Brian said. You can't be much worse than they were. They gave up whatever it was, like 30 and 4 straight or whatever, and 40 and a couple straight. They're bound to get better, and they got a couple guys getting healthier. Randall was back. Rollins is not like... I was gonna say Rollins is not terrible. I don't think that's true. That's part of the problem. Is you got these second year guys. Rollins, we've seen. We talked about. I know before the season, I was talking about the secondary was a strength. You had Rollins and Randall, who just both showed out last year, and they've taken huge steps back this year, even when healthy. Randall had a couple poor angles on tackles, some decent coverage. He had one that was just dynamite coverage. That was a beautiful Carson Wentz back shoulder pass that he couldn't get to. That's not on him. But the defense has taken a huge step backwards. Those corners that we thought were going to be good in their second year just were not. That first drive, man, everything looked so easy. I think Wentz was 6 for 6 for 70 yards. Capers has a history of doing very well against young guys and not well against veterans. And Wentz is a rookie, and Wentz got his passes in. He got a couple big plays. Again, that first drive, he had a couple drives where he had guys just wide open. Just that first drive, I don't think anyone was in 5 yards of a receiver. You get down the stretch, and we're playing against. We already saw what Bradford did to us. We're going to be playing against Stafford. We're playing against guys who aren't necessarily good, but they're at least veterans, and Capers, especially with some guys who are struggling right now, even if healthy, I think they're going to give up a lot, just a lot of yards, a lot of points. They looked better in this game. They still did not look great. And the one, I've not got a chance to watch the film yet, Wentz did have an interception, which was good. I don't remember there being any pressure. He just sailed the pass 10 yards over his receiver's head. A lot of guys aren't going to do that. That was Clinton Dix in the right place, but the defense didn't do anything to force that. He just kind of sailed it. That'll happen occasionally. Decide will do that, but you can't count on that. And they still don't have a lot of pressure up front. They still don't have good coverage. This was a decent game from them. I don't see them carrying this forward. I think they'll be better than 40 points a game, but I still don't think they're going to be a very good defense.
I never said they would be a good defense.
I choose to hear what I want to hear, Brian. And what I heard was
clear and on the record. I never said
what I heard was
the good defense.
There was a question that was posed to me, Brian, that I answered honestly. That I feel like you twisted a little bit. So, John, that means Dusty wins. Does Dusty win now?
I feel like the one whose words were twisted.
The winner.
Yeah,
the winner
I do a very good job.
is going to be. And I texted this to a few people during the game, and I think that Carson Wentz interception was actually set up through pressure on the quarterback. Because if you remember, when the play before that, Datone absolutely lit him up.
He certainly did.
And there was
the play before that was a pass interference, just to be clear.
But no, let's not. Brian, you're probably gonna win, so just shut up. No, but seriously, Datone lit him up, and anytime a quarterback takes a shot like that, if they sense any kind of pressure, the ball is out of their hands, and he rushed to throw. And I want to say that Datone Jones should get like maybe a half a pick for that one, because he absolutely annihilated Carson Wentz. And Brian. And Brian, you won. Okay.
Oh man!
But that leads us to a 3-way tie, and
which means I win by default. Sweet.
Which means that each of you have 10 seconds to tell me. Starting with Jordan.
Hang on, the winner usually only gets 5. Now everybody gets 10.
This is to see who wins the overall night.
I think we already took 10 seconds.
10 seconds to tell me what Aaron Rodgers was actually doing in the tent. Jordan, what was Aaron Rodgers actually doing in the tent?
Probably playing some Clash Royale or maybe catching some Pokemon or something.
All right,
Clash Royale
Dusty?
is garbage, and Clash Royale is garbage. And you know that. I think he set up just a sweat lodge. I think he was just sitting in there, just kind of chilling a little bit.
Okay,
maybe watching some Tombstone. He watched some Tombstone.
He went in there to vent about how much he hates Jordan.
On my best day, Brian, I would give you the win for that answer, but today is obviously not my best day. So, Jordan, for referencing Pokemon, you actually win.
Fantastic.
The night.
This doesn't feel
John,
right.
when do we get to see you on your best night? Because I'm still waiting.
I mean, that's a good question. We'll let our viewers decide. And
the viewers of our podcast, yes. Thank you all for watching us talk.
They are the viewership.
We need to move forward.
Just let me run the show, okay? And you know, we have a sponsor. Luckily, we have a sponsor.
Do we still have a sponsor?
And yes, I think so. Luckily, we have a sponsor, and luckily, Jordan is really good at talking about that sponsor.
Luckily,
Jordan,
very, very, very lucky. So, guys, Pride and Glory Clothing Company. We've been talking about them all year. Great shirts, sweatshirts, great apparel for your green and gold. They have a new product, God, and Christmas is right around the corner, guys. Their new product. They have a new wristband out. If you
hashtag stocking stuffer.
Exactly. You have that one
hashtag swag.
Everybody has that one relative. They have no idea what to get, but they know they're a fan of the pack because they're good people. This is a perfect stocking stuffer. You can get one of these wristbands for $3, or you can get 4 of them for $10. You know, get a little economical, you know, with your money. So check out prideandglory63.com and check out their new stuff.
All right, we are here with our guests now. We got Matt Weston from Battle Red Blog, covering the Houston Texans. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm swell.
Swell. I like that word. What is going on in Houston? I mean, obviously you guys have probably felt a little bit of the loss of J.J. Watt this year. I know he's been kind of the heart and soul of that team for a while, but you got some new faces, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on one of the newest faces in Houston, and that's Brock Osweiler. What are you guys' thoughts on Brock Osweiler's performance so far this year?
I mean, we look at the numbers, like he's been the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. I believe he's last in yards per attempt, 31st in yards per completion. He's 32nd DVOA. He may be 31st in DYAR. but he's just been the worst quarterback in the league. And I think the only thing that Osweiler, he can be capable when the run game's going, he's throwing the ball downfield. But whenever he's having to force to consistently make throws, the offense really stalls. And I think the only thing he's really good at is he has a great arm and he has some pocket presence and some maneuverability, but he just has two like really big traits that have kind of like led to his downfall this year. The first is, ball placement. He threw one interception against San Diego, Casey Hayward, last Sunday, where he's rolling out to the right. He tries to get the ball to Hopkins on the sideline. He throws it a foot inside, which allows Casey Hayward to make the pick. There is also a 4th and 2 with 4 minutes left where I think we're at midfield and it's 4th and 2 and they're down 21-10. They need to get some points on this drive. Braxton Miller's wide open. He throws him a foot and a half outside. Miller tries to dive and catch this, 95 miles per hour fastball and has no shot at all to catch it. And just the ball placement isn't there to consistently, move the ball. And then the other is he just makes poor decisions. Like you just see him throwing a double coverage. You see him, stare down one receiver the whole time. You see him just make throws that he shouldn't make at all. And so I think the arm strength isn't good enough to make up for that. And that's just been the biggest problem with him. But yeah, he's been awful this year, and he's been awful to watch too.
Okay. And I mean, and that has obviously played into the effectiveness of one DeAndre Hopkins, who's one of the more notable players and playmakers for you guys. I mean, is that pretty much what we're chalking up DeAndre Hopkins' performance this year too?
Yeah, part of it goes back to ball placement, where Hopkins gets open, and then Osweiler puts a foot behind him, which allows the defensive back to make a play on the ball, or he puts a foot above him, where even Hopkins in his crazy Spider-Man-like range can't bring that ball in. But I think a lot of it is ball placement and just the accuracy issues. But part of it too with Hopkins was last year they isolated him lots one side of the field, had him run go against a lot of 1-versus-1 cover schemes, and he would just run outs and deep curls and those sorts of things and get wide open. And then after he ran those routes, it would set up his the fades and the stop and goes, and those sorts of throws downfield just aren't there. And I think that's the biggest reason for Hopkins' numbers, the yards to be as low as they have. And then the completions aren't there, and the catch rate's so low because they force feed him. I mean, he's had some games this year where he was targeted 13 times and had 4 completions for 40 yards. And so I think it's just a combination of, a bunch of different factors. It isn't just Osweiler. It's also partly the scheme too as well.
All right. And now let's shift our focus to the defensive side of the ball. And, as I mentioned earlier, you guys took a little bit of a hit with J.J. Watt. And who are the real key performers right now for the Texans on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, the best part about this team is their secondary. AJ Bouye's been awesome, moving from a slot corner, moving from like the 5th corner of the team to the slot corner when Kareem Jackson went out, now to the outside number 2 corner since Kevin Johnson's been out. Kareem Jackson's a really good slot corner. He's a great tackler as well too. Jonathan Joseph, still despite his age, is a number 1 corner in the league. Andre Howes doesn't have like the interceptions this year, but he's a really quick player back there who is a little bit undersized, misses some tackles, but the secondary is the best part of this team. And then the front 7, Winnie Merciless is a Pro Bowl player. He has had some issues being 1-versus-1 blocks and pass protection, which I think is going to be a big problem in this game. But he's really good in the run game. He's really good at sending the edge. And then, Jadeveon Clowney's a freak, and he's actually had some production this year. He stayed healthy all year. The one thing about him is that he'll, flash into the backfield in an instant and then just miss the tackle. And he's just not finishing enough plays for him to be like in there for, all pro teams, Pro Bowl teams that he won't be on just because he doesn't have that sort of production. And then the one kind of underrated guy in the front 7 is Benardrick McKinney. This is his 2nd year. He's a 2nd-round pick. He was an inside linebacker from Mississippi State. And the guy's 6'6", 250 playing inside linebacker. He stands up guards really well. He's a great tackler. And he's also a really good blitzer, and they use him a lot in stunts to create pressure on the interior. And the Texans, outside line rushes, they haven't been that good being 1-versus-1 blocks. McKinney's been great at those interior stunts to help manufacture a rush.
All right. And then I guess that leads into my final question, and that is, what do the Texans have to do to beat the Packers on Sunday?
Yeah, the Texans, I think you could, against any opponent, it's kind of the same thing with them. They're not going to be able to score more than 20 points. They've only done it twice this year. They did against Tennessee when they won 27-20. They also took a a punt return to have happened. I believe they scored 23 against Kansas City, where they kicked 9 field goals in that game. And they also played with 2 short fields as well after they recovered some fumbles. So Houston's not going to score more than 20 points, really. And so, or they're going to score 20 points at most. So the key for Houston really is to hold Aaron Rodgers, stop the run completely, make Aaron Rodgers, throw the ball 50 times, and then really try to knock as many passes away as possible, make him as inefficient as possible. And so if Houston can hold Green Bay less than 20 points, that's what they have to do to win this one.
All right, and do you have any final score prediction you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a one-possession game. I think all the games that Houston has played have been one possession, except for the 3 blowout losses to Minnesota, New England, and Denver. So I just think Aaron Rodgers is too good to hold to less than 20 points. So I think Green Bay is going to win 24-17.
All right. And Matt, where can we find you on Twitter?
My Twitter handle is @MBW987. I write primarily about the Texans, but I also write a lot about the league in general. I'm writing an article in Clown this week and also doing some stuff on the Buffalo Bills run schemes and Russell Wilson, how good he is against pressure. And then I write @Bell Red Blog, and their Twitter handle is @Bell Red Blog. And we have some really good writers in there too you can check out.
All right. You got a lot on your plate right there, dude.
Yeah, I've been writing a lot this year. It's been fun.
That's freaking awesome. Everyone go follow Matt on Twitter and check out Battle Red Blog for all the Texan information you could ever handle. And Matt, we really appreciate you joining us tonight, and have a great rest of your week here, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, and now back to our coverage of the green and gold. Brian Fonfera is going to tell us what the Packers need to do to win on Sunday against the Houston Texans.
The Houston Texans. Okay, I have step number 1 is you have to eliminate DeAndre Hopkins, and as Matt mentioned, he's been struggling a bit this year. They've been forcing it to him, but you take away that one security blanket for a quarterback who's really struggling, and you make him get creative, he's not going to beat you. And I've gushed in the past about Brock Osweiler, the way he played for the Broncos last year. He had a couple halfway decent performances in the first month or 2 of the season, and halfway decent might even be generous, but he's just been awful. You got to make him beat you, and that includes shutting down DeAndre Hopkins. It also includes shutting down Lamar Miller. We got to get back to that punch you in the mouth, you are not going to run against us defense that we saw in the first month of the season. If we can contain Lamar Miller, there's no way I see this offense putting up more than 14, 21 points, something like that. Excuse me. The other thing, and they just got to stick with this no huddle. Yeah, we've been talking about it on and off for weeks about how the Packers just find what works and then they move away from it for absolutely no reason. Well, they finally got back to that no huddle right off the bat this week, and they just made the Eagles pay. Gotta do that again. You have to do that against such a good defense. If we get trapped running the ball to James Starks 20 times, I don't understand the number of snaps he gets. Like, we have other options. It's time for Christine Michael, and it's time for Ty Montgomery. Sorry for that little rabbit trail there, but stick with the no huddle. Get the ball moving, keep the ball, convert your third downs, and keep that defense on the field and tired. That offense, like, they might just score less than 10 points against what is a porous defense. So those are my keys for this week. I see last week as a statement. I see this upcoming game as a chance to really get the ball rolling. Again, I already said I don't see us as a playoff team. We have too many tough games coming up, but this is not. I don't think this is one of them. I know it's a division-leading team, but it's a team that we match up really well against. We might drop a 40 burger on them. So I'm gonna say, this is the week. We're gonna drop a 40 burger. It's gonna be 42-17. Not even close.
Oh, man, that'd be nice.
Like, if 40 burger was a real life term, what would that be describing?
Like just like Five Guys burger.
Dusty. I love Dusty's like quiet voice. Just like
It's all I got me tonight, brother.
It's a Five Guys burger. I'm like, get out of here. Oh, Brian, that's a nice bold prediction. I agree with everything you said. So well done, Brian. And
Thank you.
Dusty,
Yeah.
numbers, pronto.
All right, man. So, that's, a please would be nice, John.
Pronto.
But,
Pronto.
but- I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. All right. So, I mean, the one thing that Green Bay needs to do is they need to get after the quarterback. They need to get after Osweiler. They sacked Wentz 3 times this past game, which was great. That first drive when Wentz went 6 for 6, they got absolutely nowhere close to him. So, if they can generate, they don't have to sack him. If they can just make Osweiler a little uncomfortable, like that would be huge. As of the year right now, Packers get pressure on 16.9% of dropbacks, which is 14th in the league. They started, they were like third, so they've dropped, but they've kind of rebounded a bit the past couple weeks. Philly, for the record, for their offense, they allow pressure on 15.8%, which is 10th. Houston is all the way down at 22 with 18%. Now, the good thing about Houston is that Wentz was a little less athletic than I thought he was going to be. But Osweiler, here's the thing. So dude's like 6'8", but the shoes he plays in, this is a fact. You can look this up. He's actually playing in the same exact boots, not replicas, man, but same exact boots that Boris Karloff wore in Frankenstein. So not only if he's 6'8", but it's just these plodding steps. It's him trying to exit the pocket, just muttering fire bad, just under his breath as he tries to go out. So, if they can get into him a little bit, and Houston is susceptible to pressure, if they can generate some pressure, especially early, and throw Oswald off his game, they're golden, man. They'll just be absolutely dynamite. That's the biggest thing the Packers have to do. Now the Houston, when Packers are on offense, Texans do have the 11th best pass defense in the league. Excuse me. But the Eagles had number 1. So if the Packers go to the no huddle, now, I mean, there's kind of a misconception. If no huddle doesn't necessarily mean all the plays are run fast. You just get up to the line, you try not to let them substitute, you keep your packages you like out there, and especially with guys like Ty Montgomery and Randall Cobb, you can run a whole lot of plays off of just a simple package. If they can get that out there, and they can even take 38 seconds off the clock, but if you can run no huddle, keep the defense off balance, against the 11th ranked defense in the league, based on what we saw this past week, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to take advantage of that. And like Matt said, I mean, Houston's offense is bad, man. They're ranked currently, as far as points per game, they are, I think, 29th in the league with 17. Their offense is garbage. So their defense is going to have to do something against this Packers offense. Packers don't do a whole lot as far as turnover. So if the Green Bay can just kind of keep their foot on the gas a little and not let the Texans, that's the biggest thing. Make Osweiler a little uncomfortable. Don't give up any big plays. Packers will be absolutely fine. That's what I've got. I think I don't see quite as big as what Brian's seeing, but I did go a little higher than I thought I was going to. I got the adrenaline, man, from this past week, man. I saw that passing offense just rolling. I'm just excited. So I'm going Packers 31-13.
All right, and now Jordan, give us some Twitter questions, please.
I just so happen to have some, John. I'm glad you asked. So
wow, unbelievable.
The first question we have is: do we see Kristen Michael getting more snaps than James Starks at any point for the rest of the season? And Dusty, I'm going to let you answer this one first, and then I'll give my response.
I mean, I would say, first of all, I'm sure the guy that asked that question is super handsome. So you shout out, brother. Just shout out. Yeah, I mean, woo! I would say, hopefully, man, I would really hope that he would, because he's got that explosiveness that we could really use. But based on what we know of McCarthy, how loyal he is to a lot of his players, man, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening unless Starks gets injured, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's so depressing that I would say the exact same words.
Yeah.
I feel depressed.
Yeah, the stubbornness of McCarthy, we've seen it so many times, that the loyalty. It's actually, I was surprised last night that Spriggs got the start over Barkley. I couldn't.
Yeah, that was huge.
I couldn't believe it. Saw that on Twitter last night. I was shocked.
It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
And it definitely did pay off. So I like when it comes to Kristen Michael. I mean, it's not like we got this guy. It's not like this guy's been sitting on practice squads for the whole season. This guy was the Seahawks' leading rusher, before he got let go. I mean, obviously this guy's got some talent. He's ready to play. So I think it's silly to not include him more. I'm not saying he should be getting 20, 25 carries, but he should be getting more than one. So, I can't imagine its effect of really not catching up with our system. I mean, it doesn't seem like our running plays are that complex to learn. So I have a
how complex is run up the middle?
Exactly.
Very. If your James starts, very complex.
I mean, if you don't want to have him in there during passing plays because you're worried about him picking up the blitz, that's one thing. But
right.
To run Starks up the middle
talked
over
about
and over?
that. I talked about that with my brothers when we were watching this past game. Like, if that's the issue, man, with that up-tempo, quick-hitting offense they showed up against the Eagles, you don't even need to... It doesn't... You're running 5 wide anyway. Like, it really doesn't matter about pass protection. You're getting the ball out of your hands less than 2 seconds. You don't need the running back to pick up anything.
And you got to believe defenses fear, a guy like Kristen Michael much more than a guy like Starks. I mean, just having him out there is just something else the defense has to worry about, which can open up other avenues. So, I'd like to... He's got to be used more. He's got to be used more than just once carry a game.
And to Dusty's point, I hate to agree with John Gruden, but it was ridiculous how fast Aaron Rodgers was getting rid of the ball on Monday night.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
I think he had maybe 2 or 3 plays where he held it longer than 3 seconds.
It was unreal.
He was whipping out of his hand. He actually had open receivers, which was insane.
And we made the best defense in the league look completely average. It's not a coincidence. This is what we used to do to everybody, no matter how good their defense was. And we've gotten away from it for... only Mike McCarthy knows in his infinite wisdom. Man.
Yeah.
Stick with it, please. I have no faith, really, that they will, just because McCarthy loves to go back to what doesn't work. But just do it. Man.
We'll see.
How sexy did Aaron look as a cowboy when they were talking about him?
That was impressive.
Was he?
That was impressive. I was like, wow, he needs to be in Western movies after he retires or something.
I was half sick and had a couple beers in me by that point. Like, I honestly thought I was delirious. I didn't think that was a real thing they were showing. That was
the best part was that I spent that segment just staring at Aaron Rodgers as a cowboy. I don't even know what John Gruden said during it.
No recollection of any word coming out of his mouth.
I remember
anything that distracts from John Gruden.
He asked if I think he declared that Rodgers is better than John Wayne, and I don't know what that means.
Yes, what? I do remember that. He compared Aaron Rodgers to John Wayne.
He just said he's better than John Wayne. I'm like, better than him in what? Like just
being a quarterback? Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rodgers is a better quarterback than John Wayne. I do believe.
And John Wayne, I believe, is in the NFL Hall of Fame, right?
Guys, listen, before we say anything about John Wayne's football skills, I'm pretty sure the Duke is still printed on every football. So, you know what, guys, just pump your brakes. Just pump your brakes. All right?
There you go. There you go.
Oh, boy.
Boom!
All right, we got a couple more questions here. We got the next one here is from our sister podcast, The Sweep at Pack to the Future. And this is a question. Why do they never get invited onto this podcast? Brian is kind of our boss man here. I'll let you answer this question.
Commander-in-Chief.
Well, first of all, you can tell by the name of their podcast, they are a podcast about cleaning kitchens. So it has nothing to do with Green Bay Packer football. And second, I can say confidently that Fred has been on this show multiple times. Fred Thurston, the Bloodline, has been on here. So eventually I was just, give him his own podcast. Why not?
I mean, Fred's got his own podcast, and he's got a young child. Like, doesn't he have enough to do?
I mean, and he has an older child, and he has a weekly article to put out. Like, that dude...
And he wants to slum it with us suckers. You just keep doing what you're doing. Seriously. That man talked to Jerry Kramer recently, and he wants to guest with us. Just do what you're doing, Fred.
You don't want to be associated with us.
He's only getting Jerry Kramer on his podcast. He hasn't even gotten us yet, so he's really he doesn't.
I mean,
good point.
Last year we were associated with Titletown Sound Off. Now we're our own website. So this time next year, I'm assuming thesweep.com will be live, and they'll be the rogues.
Oh, they're gonna be.
No, that's Swiffer's website, you idiots. Jeez.
Oh man, I hope Fred's still listening.
Don't you keep up with cleaning companies?
I do, but I missed that. I'm sorry.
All right, Jordan, give us another one. This is fun.
We got one last one. We've kind of touched on already. This is our co-worker, I guess you would say. Also a member of our website, A Pact to the Future, Matt at Call Me Matub. What's in the box? And by the box, he means the tent that Aaron Rodgers goes into. So we kind of talked about. John, you never said what you thought was in the tent.
Oh, thank you for asking. I thought no one would ever ask John. I think
move on to the next segment, please.
I think he just had his own personal doctor in there, one that's not affiliated with McCarthy, and he just he got a rub down. He just needed a rub down. Cowboy hunk. Come on.
Wow.
So I thought
is the cowboy hunk got a rub down.
The cowboy hunk got a rub down.
True,
yeah.
Wow. We're gonna have to break out the bleep button for this segment.
I'm gonna stick with
after hours. This is totally after hours.
I'm gonna stick with my Pokemon Go answer.
Yep, absolutely do that. I mean,
super wholesome.
I was gonna say that, but then I can't agree with you. So that's just Jordan.
Yes.
What do you think the final score is going to be?
All right. Well, I mean, after watching the game on Monday night, I mean, it's hard not to feel more optimistic than we did. I mean, in all aspects of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, this team improved. I'm going to temper expectations a little bit. I do
40 burger.
I'm not that optimistic.
40 burger.
I think we definitely win. I mean, we are a better team than the Texans. We're playing at
40 burger.
We're playing at Lambeau Field. It's Rodgers versus Osweiler. It's very difficult. It'd be very difficult for anybody to realistically pick Osweiler to win that battle, considering how Rodgers has been playing the past few games.
I still love you, Brock.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
my final score. I'm gonna go a little bit more conservative. I'm gonna say 34-24 Packers over the Texans.
Dusty, when your child yells "I hate you," you don't yell "I hate you" back. And when your man crush of a quarterback plays like absolute hot garbage for 11 straight weeks, you don't stop loving him.
My daughter can't talk yet, so I can't speak to what I'll do when she says that. Oh, you know what, buddy? That assumption's on your head.
That sounds to me like Dusty just said he hates his daughter.
No, I mean, not yet.
Not yet.
Once she starts talking, though, it's all over.
She's awesome. I love you, baby. I love you, baby.
Oh man, I'm gonna show her the audio of this podcast on her 16th birthday.
Nah, man. By the time she's 16, like everything's just gonna be streamed straight to her eyeballs. Like she'll be able to see it whether she wants to or not. Man, I've seen Black Mirror. I know what's up.
Get into my final score prediction, guys. Let me chime in again.
40 burger.
It is going to be right around there. I desperately want to throw the 40s in there, but I'm going to remain just shy of that. And I'm going to go Packers 38, Texans 3.
You are all weak-minded. You're all weak-minded.
That might
40
be
burger, 40 burger.
38-3.
38-3.
Nobody wants to talk about a 38 burger. It's not even a thing.
And now we are going to get into our final thought segment. Brian, where's your head at?
All right, I got two very, very non-football related final thoughts. One, I got a new phone yesterday. I went with that Google Pixel because I was just super curious, and it's freaking awesome. If you're on Verizon, I recommend it. I'm having a lot of fun playing with it. And two, had an awesome Thanksgiving, even though I had to drive to and from Lincoln, Nebraska, which if you've ever driven across the great state of Nebraska, I mean...
At least you were in Omaha.
No, that would have been just one. Actually, I did end up in Omaha for one of the days. So, but to be fair, they have an amazing zoo. Like, they have spent like tens of millions making that zoo. It's amazing. And part of that weekend was my one Black Friday deal that I went with. I went on Amazon and I found all 8 Harry Potter on Blu-ray for $35. Snatched that up
Get
real quick.
out of here.
Man, that's awesome.
Best purchase of my adult life.
I think that's probably true.
It is.
That
Best
is-
purchase of my life in general was a CD player stereo shaped like the Batman logo that I bought in high school. So that was cool.
What about a ring to propose to your now wife?
No, what's
It's
that
a dumb
got to do with
question,
anything?
John. It's a dumb question.
I don't know. I just hope Beth is listening and Jordan.
You know
can
how many
swoop in
beers
for-
I could bought with that ring money? Yowza.
And Brian, where can we find you on the twit?
And my wife doesn't even listen to this podcast because she can't stand the sound of John's voice. So, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at PTTF_Brian. Don't forget to follow the podcast Twitter as well at PTTF_podcast. And make sure you're listening to our fellow podcast, as mentioned before, The Sweep. They do not talk about kitchen supplies. They actually do talk Packers football, and they're really good at it.
They're the best. Dusty, do you have any final thoughts for us?
I do, man. I got 2, and my second one's gonna be a bit rambling, probably. But I'm gonna go with the first one. So, as I like to do every week, I look at the upcoming games. I see what the cheapest tickets are for the upcoming games. Guys, I want to tell you how excited I am about this week. So. I think last week we had the cheapest tickets for like $11. I don't remember what the game was. So it was a Cleveland game. It was whoever the devil played Cleveland this week. So this week we actually have the Colts at the Jets. It's a Monday night game. It's a Monday night game in New York. Is it still the Meadowlands? I don't know if it's still
the new Meadowlands. Yeah, that's right.
The new Meadowlands isn't new. Okay.
Or no, it's
Okay, Colts-
MetLife Stadium. But yeah,
MetLife. You're right. Yeah. Okay, so we got Colts and Jets in New York Monday night. Man, the lights are going to be on. It's going to be great. Tickets are $9. They're just,
What?
$9. That's
Single
preposterous.
digits.
That's preposterous. Like, a beer will cost you more than that at the game than to actually get in the game.
Whoa.
Public transit will cost you more to get into the game than it will be to actually be at the game. And now, I mean, part of this, I'm kind of wondering, I don't think the luck news has come out yet. So this could be... this could be Scott Tolzien versus Ryan Fitzpatrick, which is like... Just
Shake your
saying it.
moneymaker.
Like, just saying it makes me so excited about this game. So, man, listen, it's Monday night. You're going to be watching. I'm going to be watching. Man, hit us up on Twitter at PTTF. I might be live tweeting that game. I'm ridiculously excited about it. And if you live anywhere in that area, you can go to that game for $9. I love a bad quarterback game as much as pretty much anyone. If luck's in, all bets are off, man. Tickets may go up. But right now, it might be Tolzien for Fitzpatrick. It's going to be great. So it's very
it's that classic. It's that classic Wisconsin Harvard battle that America's just dying.
It's everyone. Everyone is like, you know what? I would pay upwards of $9 to see that. Okay.
What's going on with my boy Fitzmagic this year?
He's
I'm
awful.
just-
He's always been awful, John. That's the thing.
He had
It's
one
like-
good year.
It's
that he
like how the
turned into a
Hulk is
holdout.
like the Hulk is always angry. Fitzpatrick is always bad. He just tricked you one time. I've
a
seen
reason.
that dude like straight up wind up and throw as hard as he can for a 7-yard out. Like, he's not good.
There's
He's
a
not
reason
good
I call him
quarterback.
Fitzmagic because it
he's
just
so
makes
bad.
sense.
But he's beating out
Like-
Geno Smith, so I mean that's something.
He's
So-
like Matt Flynn, where he had his good run, got paid, except somehow he's still playing.
the same team. They're the same team. Like,
Same
it's
team.
insane. All right.
Hey,
So my second thought here. So I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Sean. Sean runs horrorwriters.net. There's actually a big announcement. We're starting next year. We're gonna be horrorwriters.com. It's a horror site I've been writing for years. Sean's a great guy. Sean lives up in Canada. So Canada has, as everyone knows, the Canadian Football League. Ottawa has had a team now for 3 years. They've got the Ottawa Red Blacks. There's like the name sounds way cooler in French, but I don't remember what it is. It's something just dark and awesome. Anyway, this is their third year in the league. Last year they made the Grey Cup, which is the Canadian Football League Super Bowl. This year they actually won it, which is awesome. And not only did they win it, they won it with the MVP of that game was their quarterback, Henry Burris. Now, I don't know if you guys remember who Henry Burris is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's currently 41 years old. This might be his last year in the league. He played with the Packers for a spell. I think maybe training camp or something. Back in Madden, I think maybe 08. I used to never play with the Packers because I was afraid I would lose with them and then just thus disgrace their name. And so I would do franchises with other teams, and I always traded for Henry Burris because he was fairly accurate and he could run a little. So I'm a big Henry Burris guy. He won the MVP. He accounted for 5 touchdowns in that game. He went 35 for 46, which is 76% completion percentage, 461 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. And he also had two rushing touchdowns. He accounted for 5 touchdowns in the game. I actually looked up through Pro Football References Game Finder to see if any NFL quarterback had done that in the playoffs, and no NFL quarterbacks have done that in the playoffs. So Henry Burris, 41-year-old, MVP of the Grey Cup, won for the Ottawa Red Blacks, and their 3rd year in the league. Sean listens to this. Sean, man, couldn't be happier for you. He went to the game last week, which was, I believe, in an actual literal blizzard. Busted his finger up because it was so cold. So Sean, man, couldn't be happier for you. Couldn't be happier for Henry Burris. If this is how he goes out, man, I've always been a big Burris fan. So very exciting. And they won in overtime, 39-33. Very exciting game. It was against the Calgary Stampeders, who were heavily favored. So good game. Good on you, Henry Burris. Congratulations, Sean. That's my final thought. You can find me on Twitter at Dusty Evely. And Brian mentioned the Twitter account, which is PTTF_podcast, which definitely follow us there. I run that for the most part, and so you'll get a handful of my random just stats and random Packer stuff. But also make sure you rate and review us on iTunes. I'm actually currently doing a giveaway where if you rate and review us on iTunes, send us a screenshot, you're in the running to get one of the lovely Pride and Glory t-shirts that Jordan talked about earlier. So Follow us on Twitter, interact with us there, send us questions, send us thoughts, rate and review us on iTunes. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. That's all I got.
Beautiful, Dusty. Beautiful. Jordan?
All right, I got one final thought. I love watching football, but what I really hate about football is seeing a team just lose every single game. And in this case, I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. I've always kind of had a soft spot for the Cleveland Browns. Just a passionate fan base that has just been their team has been so bad for so long. The Browns are now 0-12, so I was checking out to see who they're actually playing this week. And it turns out that they actually have a bye week this week. And I was surprised to see they actually had a bye week this late in the season. I didn't know they had bye weeks already in week 13. So, I mean, the good news is that the Browns are not going to lose that game. But maybe. But I just remember watching I think it was the 08 Detroit Lions. And obviously same division. I'm not a fan of the Lions by any stretch, but I was genuinely rooting for them in that last game to win. I did not want to see a team go 0-16. It's brutal for me. I know some people may enjoy it. I do not. So I'm really hoping, in these next few weeks that the Browns, with whoever they trot out at quarterback, can win them just one game. That's what I'm pulling. That's what I'm pulling for. As much as I want the Packers to make the playoffs, second is hoping Cleveland gets a win. That's what I want to see this rest of the season.
I mean, just think about my man from my hometown, the pride and glory of Brookfield, Wisconsin, Joe Thomas, being on that team for so long and just having nothing to show for it.
I'm glad you brought up Joe Thomas. I think during this last game, I hope I get the number right. I believe he reached his 10,000th consecutive snap to start his career. The man has not missed.
Wow,
that's insane.
The man has not missed a snap. A snap. For
the Browns, just call in sick a day or something.
Is he in the running for possibly greatest offensive lineman of all time?
I don't know how you can. I mean,
sure.
I don't see how
he's got to be up there. Yeah.
He's up there. He's been in the Pro.
We'll put it that
he's
way.
been in the Pro Bowl every year he's been in. He has never missed a. He's never missed a snap. He's never missed one down. That is unfathomable. I mean, that's an Iron Man award that people probably won't remember, but that is just as impressive as anything that
Absolutely.
I mean, you watch offensive linemen, like offensive linemen just get rolled up on an accident run for 2 plays.
Yeah.
For that, like that's insane.
It's as impressive as any Iron Man streak in any sport. I mean, it really is. It's unbelievable.
He makes me super proud to be from Brookfield. I love him. Jordan, where can we find you on the twit?
You can find me on Twitter at JGPeck41. At JGPeck41.
All right. And I have 2 final thoughts tonight. And my first one is I'm really, really, really getting jacked up for this Saturday. Wisco, Penn State,
yes.
Big Ten Championship.
Woo!
I am hoping we all know how jacked up the college football playoff ranking thing is, and whatever committee they have to decide which teams make it and stuff. I just pray that they are on our side. I would love to see this Badgers team go up against Alabama and pull off the Cinderella Rudy miracle situation, and just I don't know. It's all wishful thinking here, but the Packers win has me a little bit jacked up. So I think I'm just really looking forward to that. And the only thing that kind of has me down right now is the fact that it is almost December and I've yet to see snow in Wisconsin. And call me crazy, I'm one of those winter people. So I know I just want to see some snow. Brian's seen some snow already this year, and I'm a little jelly, but I will get over that. And hopefully sometime soon I can see the glorious white stuff falling from the sky. You can find me on Twitter at John Jameson. And thank you for tuning in this week, guys. Packers take care of business this week in a very, very winnable game. And we look forward to talking about and breaking down this Packers-Texans game next week for you guys. And have a great week. Adios.